Good morning, welcome back to Fujitsu Forum TV, where we continue to bring you live and exclusive coverage from Fujitsu Forum 2019. Of course, it's day 2 of Forum 2019. It's a little quieter this morning than perhaps this day afternoon. I'm told there were many customer meetings happening last night, but the doors are open and people are starting to flood in. Next, we're going to continue looking at core insight for your business. As a commitment from us to you on Forum TV, isn't it? We're looking at the very challenges boardrooms and society are facing and getting you key insight into how you can address those challenges. One area that can't be understated as a key area of importance is diversity and inclusion. I'm delighted, joining me to tell us all about what's happening. You were on a breakout session yesterday, I believe?
Yes, I was.
Cerri Littleford, who's the Head of Responsible Business for Global Delivery Group. Thank you for joining us. D&I, for very good reason, is hot topic right now. Just give us an overview of what was happening yesterday and what you were hoping to help achieve with guests of your breakout session.
Sure. So we had a breakout session yesterday that was talking about diversity and inclusion in the workplace of the future and the importance of making sure that diversity and inclusion is a key consideration as we transition into a more digital future. So we had someone from Fujitsu Philippines, Arlene Gregorio, she's head of the office in the Philippines, presenting on their point of view, which is actually really interesting. In the Philippines, they had more women than men in their leadership team and actually in their overall employee body. Philippines is in a very unique situation in that way. But Arlene realized that this wasn't producing optimum outcomes. Everyone was agreeing with each other. So she transitioned her leadership team over the past few years, and now it's 50% men, 50% women. And she's really seen a huge difference in creativity, in output because of that. So Arlene was presenting on that. And then we also had Kithona Cerri from the World Business Council on Sustainable Development.
Yep.
And she was talking about a working group that they have, focusing specifically on the future of work, which brings together about 40 global companies to try and understand what that looks like and bring CEOs into that conversation as well.
Do we think businesses truly realise the importance of diversity and inclusion, or is it still box ticking because of a CSR initiative?
Yeah.
And I know that's an awkward question.
No, it's a great question. I think companies are increasingly realizing just how important this is. There've been so many scientific studies showing the importance of having diverse voices at the table. And it's things like, you're 45% likelier to improve your market share. You can generate up to 1.4 times more revenue. You're 180% better at adapting to change if you have diverse inputs. So companies really are realizing that now and are starting to take steps to make that change. There are, of course, some who still see it as a box-ticking exercise, and certainly there are increasing numbers of regulations, such as the gender pay gap regulation in the UK, that do require a bit of box-ticking. But we are seeing a big change. So I am really hopeful around that. And certainly for Fujitsu, it's really important for us.
How will the uncertainty around jobs and digitisation affect?
So there is a lot of uncertainty about what the future of work means. But through all that uncertainty, we know that there will be fundamental changes in employment patterns. And it is going to have bigger negative effects on women than on men. And these challenges will kind of be overlaid on long existing challenges that women face in the workplace. And this is predominantly because women tend to hold jobs that are at higher risk of replacement by automation. So if we take the example of the financial services, looking specifically in the US, about 70%, I got that wrong, about 50% of employees are female in financial services. So that's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But when we look at the senior management and roles that tend to be kind of insulated from the shocks of automation, only 25% of those roles are held by women. So when we look at bank tellers, which is a role that is highly likely to be replaced, 85% of those roles are held by women.
Goodness me.
Yeah, so we really need to focus on upskilling and reskilling our employee body, but particularly the women in lower skilled jobs, to make sure that we continue to succeed into the future.
pretty sure you've just angered a lot of people with that shocking stat, but that needs to be
it is
addressed
shocking.
for sure.
It is.
That needs to be addressed. For companies who want to invest in their people, and how important is having a proper diversity and inclusion program?
Oh, it's fundamental. You can't make any changes without having a policy in place that says why we want to do it. That brings everyone on the journey with you, from the C-suite to your entry level. Everyone understands why you need to do this and can see that you have put measures in place to make this change. It needs to not just be action, not just words, but actions that follow on from that. So yes, have a policy, but then actually put that into action. Implement schemes that will make that change.
Who's ultimately responsible for making this happen? Because I suppose the bigger companies, there's going to be an array of job titles, but surely the buck ultimately stops with the chief exec in making sure their organisation has the right people delivering on this program. Yeah,
I completely agree with that. I think that it has to come from the CEO. When the CEO supports these initiatives, then we see real change taking place. You can have bottom-up initiatives, and those can be really effective, but they stop at a certain level. So we need to combine that bottom-up with the top-down.
Be a few people watching this thinking, okay, I need to write a to-do list here, I've got a bit of work to do. If you had one piece of advice for them, what would it be?
I would say you need to start by doing an audit of your workforce.
Okay.
Understand what diversity you currently have. And we're not just talking about gender diversity, although that's probably the easiest one to do. We're also talking about other aspects of diversity like religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, age. Once you understand actually what your workforce looks like, you know how much you'll need to change to achieve more equality, and then you can start taking actions.
So visualizing the problem makes you realize the importance of addressing it.
It makes you realize how much of a problem you have.
Wow.
Yeah.
I imagine a few of you have questions for SJ. If you use hashtag Fujitsu Forum TV, we will get you connected. So if you want to hear about the great work, the truly great work that is going on within Fujitsu, I'm sure SJ will be happy to loop you in. Of course, we had Beth yesterday, didn't we, when we were talking about the UN development goals, and she was giving us great insight into initiatives like the one that happened a few weeks ago out in Berlin. I could rattle off 20 other examples of great inclusive initiatives that are going on around Fujitsu at the moment. We're quite fortunate at Fujitsu to have a wonderful program, so thank you for driving that. And up next, where are we going? The all-important keynote. It's 9:39, so at 10 o'clock or a few minutes after, depending on how many attendees are queuing to get into the keynote. If it was anything like yesterday, we might be 5 or 10 minutes late because there was literally thousands of people trying to grab a seat. This morning, we're blessed to be led by a famed TED Talk speaker, 7 Ways to Own the World. He's going to be talking us through the data issues that have taken place. I believe Facebook is going to be referenced as an example, but he's also going to be giving us an insight into how we can get on the front foot. And then later on, I believe he's actually going to come and give us an interview and talk us through exactly why he created the keynote for Fujitsu. So that's Andreas Ekstrom, TED speaker, futurist and writer. 10 o'clock, we'll be back live on that. Do stick with us. There's so much more insight coming your way on Fujitsu Forum TV today.